The Sandlot is a film that has played a major role in my life. I'd like to do something different with this video. I don't want this to be a formal movie review in which I grade the film and talk about all of its merits or criticisms or whatever. I kind of just want to talk about what the film means to me, how I discovered it, and how it kind of shaped my life as a kid, and how it helped me in a lot of ways. And I'd love to do more videos like this in the future where I just talk about experiences with film and not necessarily feel like I have to, dig for flaws or whatever. It's not always the thing that I enjoy doing. I kind of like to talk about films that I appreciate and sort of just relate stories that are specific to me, because everybody can talk about The Sandlot and mention things about the movie, but everyone has a story with a film. And I think that that's what makes videos interesting, when people talk about their personal experiences with something and they just make it more relatable in that way. And I'd like to do that. Plus, I owe you guys some sports content. I've only reviewed one sports movie. I said I would review more. I first saw The Sandlot when my mom took me to the Akron Public Library as a kid, and they used to rent out VHS tapes in these black plastic sort of clamshell cases that had these really tight little buttons you had to press, and I would almost always get my fingers stuck in there, and the tips of the skin of my thumb would get like cut from those boxes all the time. And we rented it because, as you guys know, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and so it was PG. So okay, we'll give it a shot. It's probably acceptable content. It's a baseball film, looks like it's family fare. My parents didn't know, I don't think, that the film had the boys doing a lot of things that they did not want me to do. But I don't think they cared, because I remember the first time I saw it, I was alone, which really helped. And I actually still have a visual imprint kind of burned into my mind of the giant dog and thinking, oh my God, that looks so scary. I don't know how old I was. I must have been maybe 6. The movie came out in theaters when I was 5, and I unfortunately did not see it in theaters, nor did a lot of people. The film wasn't exactly a massive success. In fact, critics of the era sort of passed it off. One of the few critics, per usual, who kind of got it was Roger Ebert. The man knew what the fuck he was doing, and he enjoyed the film, but a lot of critics criticized the movie for being too sentimental and too nostalgic. This is something that I don't really give a lot of merit to. Nostalgia is relative to the person. It's 100% subjective to your own personal experience. Of course, you can tell when a filmmaker is nostalgic about something and they're really trying to communicate a feeling, which, I don't really see what the fuck is wrong with that. But if I want to try to put myself in the headspace of the critics who criticize the movie for being too nostalgic, I have to say that as a kid of the 90s, this movie is incredibly nostalgic to me, and it's very important to me, although the film is about the 1960s, which as a child was not something I really thought about. There's some lines of dialogue in the film and things they do that's very 1960s. They're talking about older films of the era and things that kids did in the 1960s, and as a 90s kid, all of that made sense to me. Even though it was 30 years after the fact, it still worked for me, and it felt like it was right. And the nostalgia aspect of it never occurred to me. It just seemed like that's the story that's being told. And even if the filmmaker is nostalgic about the 60s, I'm watching it in the 90s and still feeling kind of that way about it, even though I have no nostalgia for the 1960s. And so I've never really given a lot of weight to that criticism, although I can understand why some people do. But as a 5 or 6-year-old watching that tape, I was immediately taken by the film. And it wasn't just because I enjoyed baseball as a sport and I had friends that we played baseball with. There was this sense of neighborhood camaraderie that I think every kid would just love to have. Not everybody has this perfect group of friends. And the fact that Scotty Smalls in the movie learns how to be friends with people and kind of learns how to play baseball and gets taken under the wing of Benny the Jet Rodriguez, who, by the way, was like my childhood idol. Every other person I knew my age wanted to be Benny the Jet Rodriguez. He was so fucking cool. And so I kind of saw a life in this movie that I did not really have. I had friends, we could play baseball, we could play basketball occasionally, and it was like a very Jehovah's Witness thing where people from the Kingdom Hall would meet up and we would play a game or whatever. And that existed for sure. Sometimes we'd go to the park and we would play with the other kids, and I always felt like I was doing something wrong, but like this movie just felt right. It felt like a world that I wished I lived in. And so since I wasn't really living in that world, this film really helped me a lot. It kind of became my go-to movie I would watch when I was sick because it always made me feel better. And if I ever had to stay home from school, I wanted to watch The Sandlot. It just comforted me. It made me feel like I was watching a world that, like I said, felt right. And I love that I'm part of a generation that kind of adopted this movie because, as I said, critics didn't really care that much for it and it wasn't exactly a smash at the box office. Its biggest star was James Earl Jones, and he's in the movie at the very end. Dennis Leary and Karen Allen are in the film as well, but it's really a movie about the kids. And people didn't really show up if you look at the box office numbers, but it became one of those rentals, or in my case, a library rental that was just a staple. Before you knew it, every kid I knew had the clamshell VHS. Kids were quoting it all the time. "You're killing me, Smalls." They would have s'mores at bonfires and they would recreate the scene and act out things. I certainly did that. And, this film became special to a lot of people. The VHS rental era really helped a lot of films. Sandlot was a big one. Shawshank Redemption as well got huge on VHS. The fact that you could just go to Blockbuster and constantly rent this movie, that's what I did for a long time until I realized I should just fucking buy this thing. And so in that way, I can't really do an informal review of The Sandlot. It just means so much to me. I just unabashedly love this movie. And if I did, of course, it would be an A+, and I'd have nothing but good things to say about it, but I just can't. It's just so special to me. There's a handful of movies from my actual childhood and then some from when I was in my early teens, when I was realizing I wanted to be a filmmaker, that basically molded me into who I am. And as a child, The Sandlot was a big one. Field of Dreams is another one, also a sports baseball film. It's a really well-made film. Like, it doesn't get discussed that much. It's just one of those movies we all kind of accept as like, yes, The Sandlot, of course, it's great. We love it. It's fun. And then we say the lines and we quote it, but like, it's strange how well made the movie is looking back on it. Because David Mickey Evans, who directed the film, had a lot to handle. You have a lot of kids and every character is important, but there's also a narrative with Scott Smalls that has to play out in a certain way and everything just has to work. And it fucking did. Like, the kids are amazing in the film. Every single one of them stands out. There's not a single character in the movie that doesn't feel like a person, like they've just been there forever. Like when I watch The Sandlot, nostalgia aside, it feels like every kid in that movie will live on after the film. They just feel like they exist. But it also captured that wonderful sense of childhood imagination where you're kind of open to believing things that are a little bit fantastical, like this giant dog, the Beast. And when you see him, he looks like a 1950s B-movie monster. You're kind of seeing what the kids imagine he is until later in the film when he's just a dog. It was one of the first slightly more adult-edged kids movies I had seen. This movie would not be made today, at least in the way it is. A bunch of kids who get on a amusement park ride chewing tobacco and then they vomit all over ladies. Like, come on. Like, that would never pass today. And I love that I watched that when I was 5. The film definitely helped inspire my first feature I made when I was 15 years old, Phenomenon Field, which is horrendous in every way, of course. I was a child, but we made it. We actually fucking finished it somehow. But like, without The Sandlot and especially Field of Dreams, I don't know. I might not have done that. And I got used to making films as a kid because of films like The Sandlot. And I don't know. That main criticism of this movie is too sentimental or nostalgic. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. Like, the film meant everything to me when I was 5 or 6 and first saw it. And as I got older, and it kind of comforted me, it filled in gaps I felt like I didn't have in my life and made me want to make movies. So thank you, David Mickey Evans, for making The Sandlot, because it legitimately changed my life. Guys, I want to do more videos like this in the future, and I plan to. You know, not so much like reviews of movies, but just appreciating movies I love and just kind of sharing that with you, and also being able to share a little bit more of a personal side too. And just, I think that's fun. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. As I said, I want to do more videos like this, and I'm looking forward to that. But I also want to give a big thank you to the sponsor for this video, Omaze. Omaze exists to empower nonprofits to do their world-changing work. Charities are commonly frowned upon for investing in ways to raise awareness, almost like they're not allowed to market themselves the way for-profit companies do. Traditional nonprofit marketing includes events that are usually only once or twice a year, pricey to organize, and accessible to only those that can afford it. But Omaze offers dream-come-true experiences online that anyone can win. Through the Omaze platform, people have supported over 350 charities, driving awareness and raising significantly more money than traditional fundraising methods. So they say everything is bigger in Texas, and you'll certainly live large in this house made for the modern millionaire. Located in Austin's desirable Travis Heights neighborhood, you're within walking distance of South Congress Avenue, where the music is live, the barbecue sizzles, and the shopping is top-notch. The charity that you'll help was founded in 2007 by Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. Folds of Honor Foundation provides education scholarships to the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled service members. It goes without saying that I love Austin, Texas. My first experience there was Fantastic Fest in 2019, and it was amazing. I attended the virtual Fantastic Fest in 2020, and I already have my tickets for 2021's Fantastic Fest. I love Austin. They have the best food ever. You will gain 35 pounds when you're there for 3 days. It's incredible. So naturally, a charity like this is right up my alley. The house is a just-built 3,235 square feet urban oasis with 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, but you also have the option to choose a cash prize instead of the house. So for your chance to win a stunning new dream house or become an instant millionaire, please go to omaze.com/Chris Stuckmann and enter for your chance to win. And best of all, every donation supports the spouses and children of America's fallen or disabled service members helped by Folds of Honor Foundation. Go there, donate, and good luck. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching, and thank you to Omaze for sponsoring this video. As always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.